What's up, guys? We are taking a look at a few figures today, doing something a little bit different. We're doing the first of what's going to sort of be like a review roundup for figures that I never really got around to reviewing, but kind of want to talk about. So we're talking about a few of them briefly, and these all happen to be part of the same wave, a weird wave of legends for me personally. So these are three figures from the Smart Hulk Build-A-Figure wave. So we've got Rock Python, we got Beta Ray Bill, and we've got the classic Loki. And this wave was, again, kind of odd because there are zero heavy hitters in this wave as far as I'm concerned. Beta Ray Bill is probably the biggest figure for me personally, and even him, I really wasn't in a rush to go out and get him. And these two in particular, I definitely wasn't. I really only got them because they were on sale and a buddy needed the BAF pieces. So we're going to chat about these three. They're all pretty decent. They're just maybe not the biggest showstopper type of figures out there, and some of them, maybe this guy in particular, are kind of in the peg warmer territory. So we're going to take a quick look at each one of them individually and just see what's going on. So Rock Python here is, well, he's kind of just a basic figure, and so is Loki, really, because they're on the same body. This guy is, he's a Serpent Society member, and there is nothing really special about this figure outside of the fact that he has the weirdest helmet going on. I don't know what this thing is supposed to be. It looks very like 70s kind of design to me for some reason, but the figure is kind of cool, and something about it just really is drawn to me. It's got to be the color scheme. Something about this light blue and the dark blue purple kind of color really does it for me. Even though I'm not a huge Serpent Society guy, I'm kind of in the mood to build that kind of team. Like, I would love it if we eventually got enough to really build that team out. Regardless of the fact that I know I don't need them on my shelf, I still think it would be cool because they're so weird, but they all kind of go together. I do like the, the snake motif logo on the chest there, but this guy is, again, just really basic. He's got a unique head sculpt because of the helmet here, and he's on an old, tired body. So he's got kind of basic articulation, everything that you would expect to see on a standard older style Marvel Legends figure. He's just run-of-the-mill stuff, but he kind of looks cool, and he definitely will pop on a shelf, whether you really care about the character or not. This blue color definitely stands out amongst the crowd. You don't see this a lot on a lot of figures. There's one thing that really kind of bugs me about this guy, though, and it's really more of this particular body, and the mold is this thing going on here. I'm sure you've already noticed it. We've got some kind of bobble action going on with that torso. He doesn't obviously suffer from it or anything, but it's definitely kind of an annoyance. So he's a really basic figure, and like I said, he's definitely going to be the peg warmer of the wave, assuming you can find these, because I really don't see this wave out there all that often, but when I do, he is always on the shelf. Now, Loki is a little bit more my speed when it comes to characters in general, and the timing for this figure is definitely right, because we got that 80th anniversary Thor figure, another one that, well, I never really got around to reviewing. I didn't do any of the big three, so they might get their own video soon too. But this figure is on the same body as Rock Python, but there's a lot more going on just because of the fact that Loki has a little bit more to his suit. He has a few extra pieces, and he's also got a pretty gnarly head sculpt going on. So You've got the classic Loki stuff going on here. The green, the yellow, and the yellow is done up in that kind of pearlescent swirly plastic, which I've said it a number of times. I really love that plastic. It honestly doesn't work all that well on Loki, though. I wish it was more of a flatter color or just a vibrant standard yellow, but it still works really well. I still like that plastic no matter what. He does move exactly like Rock Python, though, so the same kind of articulation that you're going to expect to see from a Marvel Legends on another slightly older, tired type of body. But he does look good, and the scales are unfortunately not sculpted, but they are painted really, really cleanly on his chest and back, and his big scaly butt there too. So he does look pretty nice, and it's all going for that very classic comic look, and it definitely ties in with that Thor that we got. He has the kind of floating collar piece here, which doesn't get in the way or anything. You might want to glue it down. I'm thinking about doing that myself, but we haven't actually gotten that far. And then you've got a pretty fantastic head sculpt here, which is the face is fully painted, so the skin tone's painted, the teeth are painted, the eyes are painted, and you've got the massive horns up here on the top of his head, which kind of go back to the flowing locks that he has that pop out at the back of this helmet. And this actually has a decent bit of wash on there, so there is a little bit more added detail in that one. I do like the head sculpt. If I had a gripe, it's that this is one of those figures where you kind of have the wide set eye problem going on, and that's something that we've been seeing for a little while with Hasbro. It's a little worse on this guy though. You might see it a little better when you're closer up to him, but it's definitely there. He does have the added bonus of having an accessory though, and he's got his kind of classic sword here with more of that kind of swirly metallic plastic for the hilt, and then you've got just a metallic blade with a little green jewel in there. So again, he's kind of a basic figure, but at the same time, it's the classic Loki, so basic isn't necessarily a big issue. And he definitely fills a void on my shelf because I didn't have anything that fit the bill for this era of Loki until now. Now, if there is a heavy hitter in this wave, and I say if because I still don't really think there is, it's definitely Beta Ray Bill, because he's just Beta Ray Bill. That's really all it comes down to. It's him, and he is a fantastic character. This is just not what I think a lot of people were expecting to get. I have a feeling, and because it's what Hasbro does, they're giving us the more modern version. We're going to get a classic one at some point. I just don't see it not happening because that's Hasbro's MO. They give you the one that you don't necessarily have to have, but you buy it because it's the only one that's on the market. And then they come out and give you the one that you really wanted because they know you're going to get it anyway. And, well, that's what I do, so that's probably what they're going to do. I do think that he looks really, really cool despite not being the version that I wanted. I don't like the legs on him because they're very old and tired, and I really don't care for the boots. They just seem a little too chunky, but I love the torso. I'm glad that they worked in some of that newer articulation. So you've got a waist twist and a diaphragm cut rather than an ab crunch and a waist twist, and it works pretty well. Mine's kind of stiff right now. It could be because the figure is absolutely freezing cold in the basement down here, but he does rock pretty well forwards and backwards, a little bit side to side, and then of course you've got rotation down there. One of the big things that I'm glad they integrated into this figure though is the jaw hinge on it, so you can actually articulate that mouth. I think it would have been a travesty if they didn't do that. It would have really killed this figure, so I'm glad they kind of went maybe the extra mile-ish on this guy. There's a nice bit of wash in the arms to really bring out some of that sculpted detail. You've got some swirly metallic plastic going on for the armor plating on the chest. The cape actually works really nicely. It does have a peg in the back, so you can kind of secure it to the figure. I love the fins on the helmet, and I think Stormbreaker looks fantastic. It's just big enough to be a little bit grandiose, maybe a little bit larger than life, especially next to Mjolnir, because it's just so big, but I think he works really well. I was really happy to actually get this guy out of the package. When I got him, I just had to tear him out, and I was going to do a real review, a normal one, but I just wanted to play around with him. So I suppose that's a pretty good indicator that I really like this guy. I still don't think that he's a heavy hitter. Nothing that would save this wave, really, but if there is one, for me, it's gotta be him. So there you go, guys. A handful of figures from the pretty recent Smart Hulk Build-A-Figure wave, Beta Ray Bill, Rock Python, and Loki. A few figures that are pretty cool, none of them that I think are overwhelmingly awesome, but I do enjoy having all three of them. Rock Python's kind of plain, but he is still oddly cool because of that color scheme. Loki is classic Loki, and he's kind of a must-have for me whether or not I like the body that he's on. And Beta Ray Bill is not my preferred Beta Ray Bill, but he's still really cool. He moves around really well, and they just kind of went to town on that head sculpt. Everything really works on that guy. So yeah, there you go. A handful of figures, a few quick reviews. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.